Okay. Hi, Jacob. How are you?
I'm good, Douglas. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. I
Thank you for
appreciate it.
having me.
So, you are a poet. Actually, your name is Other Poet, according to your bio.
Yes.
Where'd that come from? Why are you Other Poet?
I'm other poet because my mom didn't name me Elvis. So I needed something fun, something a little catchy, and kind of a band name to go by, just to have a little bit more flair than Jacob.
Well, okay. That's a good answer. Well, you seem like a pretty nice looking, kind of clean cut guy, and poets that I've met in the past tend to be a little bit off center. I'll give you a quick story if you don't mind. I have this one guy who comes on the show, not anymore, but he used to years ago, who, like, on one instance, he had pink hair down to his waist and eye glitter and painted fingernails and all this. And then the next time he came on the show, he was completely skinhead, and somebody had taken a magic marker and drawn words all over his face like anxiety, stress, and
That's
he
awesome.
he was real dark and serious. And but his poetry was fantastic. It was amazing. But you could tell this guy was kind of a tormented soul who couldn't, constantly changing his sort of identity. But do you do that?
I don't shave my head. I like my hair. But yeah, I think the hair does get a little bit crazy. It has a mind of its own. And sometimes, the facial hair gets a little bit long and scruffy. Um, but yeah, I would say outwardly, I'm a generally positive, outgoing person. And some of that more, you said tormented soul, some of that is more within. And how it gets presented changes from time to time. But I really try to lead with positivity and with love, and then have those inward, those inner demons are definitely there though.
Okay, so maybe all of that tormented soul comes out in your work rather than in your persona. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I don't outwardly carry around the tormented persona. I think it can be useful at times, and there's definite times to express that, but there's other times to let those inner demons be and kind of lead, like I said, with some of that positivity and some of that energy, because I think that the world needs that, and I let the work speak for itself, and I let the work kind of um, share what's really going on inside my head, and some of that is also more positive, hopeful in tone, but a lot of it does represent some of those inner demons that I think we all struggle with.
Are you a full time writer or do you have a day job or what do you do with your life?
I think all writers are full-time writers. I do use my writing and my creative side in my professional life. So I do have a full-time job to kind of fund the work and fund the poetry and kind of manage life, so that I'm not the starving artist necessarily. There are definitely times that I'm hungry, but I do have a full-time job. But the writing is always there. It's always something where I'll get an idea and I'll jot it down. And even like when I go for a walk, like I think all writers tend to be full-time writers, no matter what they do, from 9 to 5.
So that creative flow, little voice in your brain is just going all the time, basically.
Oh,
No
it's
matter,
constant.
yeah, no matter what you're doing. Yeah. With me, it's like musical lyrics, and then if I get something good, I'll write it down and then get to the piano and see if I can find a tune that'll go with it and something that
Definitely.
fits.
I woke up in the middle of the night last night with some lyrics in my head, and I had to type them out. And then I tried to go back to sleep. So I completely understand where you are with that.
I know a lot of writers who actually leave a pad of paper and a pen next to their bed because in that sort of twilighty dream sleep state, they get these incredible ideas and they got to write them down right away. Otherwise, they'll forget them in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I have the notebooks floating all over. I have the phone, the notes section of my phone is bonkers. There's so much there. Um, and it's a little hectic because I don't know where all my ideas are always living. Like they're all in these different places. But yeah, I'm in the same boat with that. I get the ideas for the poetry, for lyrics all the time. Like they're just kind of floating everywhere.
So your book is called Shift. I better say that properly because it'll sound like something else.
Yeah, please don't call it the other word that you're thinking of.
Shift. There we
Yes,
go.
the F is very
The
important.
F is very important in that word. Exactly. Okay, and it is a collection of poetry, or explain how the book is put together.
So the book is put together. It is a collection of poetry, but it's unlike most collections of poetry in that it tells one singular narrative. There's one story underlying um, throughout the whole book. There are different offshoots and smaller stories to be told. There are characters in this book, and it's all kind of this. It's almost like the season of a TV show where it tells one story, but there are other storylines being told along the way as well. So it's almost built like an epic, where it has the storytelling format is poetry, but it's telling one story, kind of like a novel or a movie.
Okay, you want to give us a little teaser of the one story? What is the theme?
So the shift follows this character who's introduced as the Rocketman, and it's the absolute breaking down, the devastation of a person, and it's about those first steps along the healing journey. So it's the first step out of bed after you've been stuck in bed for a few days. It's the first steps to go outside on a walk after you've been stuck in your apartment for days. Like, it's the very beginnings of that healing journey after being broken.
So when you say stuck in your apartment, you mean self-imposed.
Yeah, yeah, the depressive state. It's that, um, it's whatever that looks like. Those first steps of a healing journey. Um, it's those times where we felt really, really down, and we've managed to make it forward just a little bit.
You had mentioned the Beach Boys somewhere before we got on this, and Brian Wilson suffered from depression on many occasions, and there was the famous story of him actually spending 2 years in bed. Just he had the phone by his bed, would talk business when he needed to, would get up basically to eat, and would go back to the bed, and it was unbelievable.
And it doesn't always look like 2 years in bed for a lot of us. And just the way that kind of those states of depression and things like that, everybody's different in their journey. But I think that's what makes this book really approachable and accessible, is that no matter where you are or where you've been, you can find a place in this story.
So the message, the story is cathartic, hopefully, for people.
Yeah, there's hope and there's catharsis and hope underlying in it. And actually, like the final thing that you see as you finish the book, you go through the acknowledgments, and the final page says in bold letters, "You are loved." Because the message that I ultimately want to send to everybody is that you are loved and you belong. Those two things are really, really important to me that readers take away. But yeah, the story itself, there are those dark times. There are pieces of it that are in kind of in that dark state of mind, but it definitely there's hope interlaced in it, and I think it's kind of the way that we go through our lives. There's bad days and there's good days, and it's kind of a collection of that.
Was this inspired at all from personal experience? Did you have your 2 years in bed at some point in your life?
I did. I didn't spend 2 years literally in bed, but I definitely took from personal experience. I've had broken relationships. I grew up in kind of that broken home situation, so there's definite life circumstances that I pulled from for this.
I know there's a lot of illustrations in the book. And what is the name of the illustrator?
The illustrator's name is Jericho DeLea. He created the cover of the book and the back cover and did beautiful illustrations throughout the book to bring it to life. One of the really important things to me with this book was that it kind of had its own rhythm and its own life to it. And Jericho did a beautiful job illustrating the book. I'm blown away by his illustrations.
Do you have the book? You want to show the cover?
Yes, I do. So this is the cover of the book.
Hold it up a little higher.
Hold it up higher right here.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
This is the book illustrated by Jericho DeLea. He also did the back cover here, which I think is gorgeous.
Oh, nice.
And I'll show my favorite illustration.
Okay.
Real quick. This is my favorite illustration
Oh, I like
in
that.
the book.
Yeah.
He just did a beautiful job with this whole story. So brought it to life in a way that I couldn't have imagined. And he just did a beautiful job.
So we were talking about music, and you referenced the Rocketman, which is a very famous Elton John song. Was there any correlation with that? Or, you know, what I thought of wasn't even that one necessarily, but it was David Bowie with Major Tom. Yeah?
Yes. So Major Tom and Rocketman by Elton John, both of those songs were the first steps with this character. I think, like, boil it down, listening to those songs growing up and listening to them now helped create this Rocketman character, this journey. I reference both of those songs at certain points because those were definitely inspirational to me. And David Bowie and Elton John have both inspired me throughout my writing time and with their whole, careers of incredible songwriting, and just them personally have inspired me as well.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. I think that's great because that was my generation of music, and no argument from me.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely
Bowie's
not.
work. And I love space. I'm obsessed with space. My stepdad is the director of astronomy at a museum in Ohio. And so space has always kind of been a part of my life and being fascinated with it. And so this idea of this Rocket Man astronaut character being in space for part of this journey. And it was just Bowie just was so inspirational with his obsession with space as well. And then there's Elton John with Rocket Man. So yeah, definitely.
Do you plan on doing any more books?
I do. I'm working on editing the second book in this series. Shift is going to be a part of a trilogy. I have the trilogy kind of mapped out right now, and I'm editing the second book right now. So I do plan on doing more books, and at least two of them will be more poetry books, kind of in the same vein. I'm not sure if I'll stay with poetry forever. I really just want to find the best way to tell the stories that I have kind of on my mind and on my heart. And so poetry was one of those methods of storytelling that I really wanted to explore. I think there's an opportunity to really change and advance poetry and kind of bring it back to the forefront. And I'm very passionate about that. So I don't know if I'll stay with poetry forever, but I could definitely see myself writing many, many books of poetry.
Oh, great. My guest is Jacob Hunt. His new poetry book is called Shift, and it is available now.
Yes, it is available for purchase. It came out on December 13th, and you can buy it on Amazon, but I would recommend buying it on my website, otherpoet.com.
Otherpoet.com. Okay, great. Jacob, always a pleasure. Thank you for coming on.